Time has unfolded me, it has revealed to me life's nothing less than sublime. With every thought I make, every last breath I take, may I be gracious and kind. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Kindness wash over me, make me a symphony. Play every note you can find. Make me reverberate, gently deactivate, slowly flow out of my mind. Find me a melody, dance and let my anthem be. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. 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 I will not be shaken. I will not be moved. Love, cover me. May my heart awaken, tenderness be proved. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love.
Thank you, Gary Lynn Floyd. And love does cover us, always surrounds us. That's one of the gifts we give you. Take that song through your day, through your week. Remember that love always covers you. And welcome, welcome, welcome to the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. This is our Sunday celebration, and I am so glad that you have joined us, that you found your way to us. First thing I'm going to do is introduce our fabulous practitioner of the day, Linda Connolly. Lead us into our invocation, Linda.
So in this moment, let's take our hand and place it on our heart, dropping our mind into our heart, and breathe in and through our hearts as we feel our heartbeat, the rhythm of love, the rhythm of life. For that is the individualized expression of the divine creator. For there is only one. There is only one divine spirit, one creator, one mind that is infinite in its potential, that is infinite in its knowingness. It is that infinite potential that creates in and out of itself to experience and express itself in form. So as we breathe in and through our hearts, we are breathing in and out an infinite potential as the individualized expression of it. An infinite expression of love, of excitement, of joy, fully embracing the unique expression that you and I are. For you and I are infinite in our potential, infinite in our love. And from this place, we see and hear ourselves. And from this place, we see and hear all other unique connection or unique expressions of spirit. And through our breath, we fan that fire of infinite potential. And as the tide raises all boats, through our openness to receiving, to expressing, of being our unique expressions of infinite potential, of divine mind, we also give permission for each and every person, every creation that we connect with, we give them permission to be their unique, individualized expressions. Allow them to be seen and to be heard. And as we breathe in and through as our heart, we're open to receive the movement, the feeling, the expression of the music, such as Love Cover Me. We open to receive and express the message that will be delivered and expressed as spirit, as the form of Reverend Patricia VanWoerkom, that will lead us, that will resonate to each and every one of us listening to that message, that it resonates and it lifts us and it guides us and it excites us to connect to the uniqueness that we are in that vulnerable place of stepping out to be seen and to be heard. And I am so grateful for the willingness of our production team to use their unique expressions to bring us together for all the work that they do behind the scenes so that we can be seen and we can be heard. That is the gift of beingness. And I am so thankful I am so thankful for yours and mine individualized expression, expressing as spirit. And with that, we take a deep breath in and out through our heart, and we anchor by saying, and so it is. Now for our readings. Compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the unified attempt to uncover the divinity in each other. Ernest Holmes. If I want to be accepted as I am, then I need to be willing to accept others as they are. Louise Hay. As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence actually liberates others. Marian Wilson. And in this space, let's listen to the music of Amy Bishop.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you don't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Oh, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean Just call me if you need a friend. Call me. Oh, call me. Dial my number. I'll be right there. Call me. Call me if you need a friend. 'Cause I'm your friend. I'll be right there. Oh, just call me if you need a friend. And I'll be right there. Call me.
Ms. Amy Bishop, I will call you anytime. Doesn't she have the most wonderful voice? Ah, and such a way with a song. Okay. As I was thinking about our topic this week, vulnerability, seeing and being seen, I kept circling back in my mind to what I think is the core paradox of this being human thing that we're all doing together. There's a set of core beliefs that Ernest Holmes held and that Signs of Mind hold as principles. And the first one, and I will paraphrase it, so when you see the full statement in class, don't be surprised that it's going to be different than what I say. The first begins, we believe in one indestructible, absolute cause. And you can call it God or spirit or divine mind or love, whatever works. Holmes called it the thing itself. It's a phrase I always loved. So we believe that this one thing manifests itself in and through all creation. All creation. It is as fully present in a junkie looking for her next fix as it is in the Pope, as fully present in the politician you revile the most as a Special Olympics champion. It's as fully present in the 500-year-old California redwood tree as it is in a strip mine in West Virginia. There are no exceptions. The entire manifest universe is the body of God, all of it. It's like the great commandment to love our neighbor. There are no exceptions. It really means that we're to love everyone, which makes sense if divinity is in each of us and in all things. The paradox arises in that the thing itself, spirit, is manifested in all form, but it's not contained by any one form. Holmes uses the phrase that God is not absorbed by any specific manifestation. Now, I frequently use the analogy that we are like fish swimming in an ocean of God. Think now of a sponge in that ocean, and that sponge would be totally saturated with God, but there will still be an infinite ocean of God that could not be absorbed by that sponge, okay? So while the divine completely saturates each of us, none of us contain it all. The infinite cannot be limited or encapsulated in a finite form. It can, however, create an infinite number of totally individual and unique forms, and it does. And each unique form is fully saturated, just like that sponge. That infinite variety is the manifest universe that we see, that we live in. And it is what we are an infinitesimally small part of it. And the paradox that we are called to understand both emotionally and intellectually, that every bit of me and every bit of you is divine. We each are first cause in form. We are God. We are love in human form. And in that, all of us are the same. And at the exact same time, each one of us is completely different and unique. Some part of us knows this. There's a greeting in Sanskrit known as namaste, and the word itself means that the God in me sees and recognizes the God in you. And when this recognition happens, we are one. We are united. And we all have this pull, this call to union. We're drawn to each other to find that connection. And while sometimes, and while we always and sometimes desperately are drawn to this connection, we are also completely different from each other and will never, ever completely know or understand one another. Now, this is easier to see when we come from different countries or cultures. Then we expect differences. We're more prone to be very polite and ask questions. We watch our use of humor and slang, and we're more formal with each other. We automatically accept that there will be some level of misunderstanding and miscommunication. And we can deal with these inevitable moments with patience and good humor. Or as Don Miguel Ruiz might say, we don't take it personally. And how different we are exists on a continuum. We know that someone who grew up in an Irish American working class family will respond differently than, say, an African American growing up in Detroit. Sometimes the differences between us are blindingly obvious. Like Joe Biden, who grew up in a working class Irish family, and Malcolm X, who grew up in Detroit. Okay? But even siblings growing up in the same family with all the same commonality that they share are completely different from each other. We are unique and individual, but with the same exact divine nature. But even that is an oversimplification. It's not just a matter of divine nature living as a unique manifestation. Oh no, our human nature is full of free will and agency and the ability to co-create our world and experience. We grow up in dysfunctional families. That's the norm, by the way. Don't think yours is that different. It's on that continuum, okay? None of us can do it perfectly. We all grew up in dysfunctional families. And we have issues and triggers and maladaptive learned behaviors and egos designed to protect us from being hurt. Egos that are designed to protect us from being open and vulnerable to each other. Now add the largest historical context to this mix, okay? Human beings began with no natural defenses. We don't have scales. We don't have big teeth or claws, just opposable thumbs, language, and a smidge more brains in a world that was out to eat us. Okay? We began in a world of prey or predator. And frankly, we looked a whole lot more like prey than predator. It is mind-boggling to me to think of how much we have evolved from these humble beginnings and how all of that, the larger historical context and our genetic heritage, our nature, as it's often referred to, and our nurture, the complex web of family and social relationships we were born into, is part of the unique individual identity that we bring into the world. And we wonder why there is conflict in this world? Author Ken Liu says, every act of communication is a miracle of translation. Okay? And in the same way, every interaction that we have with another person is an act of translation And every person's language is unique to them, and there are no dictionaries. Instead, we have faith and trust and some spiritual guidance. But there's no international universal translator that when I say this, what I mean is that, and I want you to hear it thus and so. Okay? I just spill out of my mouth. You hear, I spill out of my incredibly complex set of nature and nurture, and you hear within your incredibly complex arrangement of nature and nurture. And so we translate. We try to translate. Okay? So, what would it be like if our approach to each other was a complete trust in our mutual divinity, paired with an expectation of difference? Can we create a space, a community, where mistakes and misunderstandings created by our differences are seen with good humor and indulgence and opportunities to learn more about each other? So often, our differences seem to be opportunities for judgment and codependence. We spent the last 2 months talking about authenticity and vulnerability, and frankly, we could spend another 2 months on this. So let me share with you my current takeaways. Codependence. Codependence is where you have to change in order for me to be comfortable, for me to be happy. Or I have to change so that you feel comfortable or happy. Okay? Fairly solid definition for codependence. So opposed to that is authenticity, where I'm okay to be me, and you're okay to be you, and we're all okay to be different. Vulnerability is how we move from codependence to authenticity. It's a workspace that we create one moment of exposure at a time. To be authentic, I have to expose who I am, all my nature, all my nurture, all my maladaptations, all of my intuitive understandings of the language that you're speaking in, all of it. I have to expose who I am. I have to live out loud, which is our overall theme for 2023, in order to be seen. And all of this is exposure, this being vulnerable, is occurring in an incredibly complex, multivariable environment of human nature and human nurture, within which divinity is having a human experience. Phew. Give me a break. That's a lot of stuff for me to deal with on a moment-to-moment basis when I'm just trying to live my life. So please, can we give each other a break? Can we have faith in our divine nature, the place where we all connect in the one indestructible, absolute cause, also known as love? Can we trust that everyone is exposing themselves and translating as fast as they can and doing the best that they can do in the moment? We have evolved so far, and we continue to evolve. Can we remember that we are all getting better at being vulnerable and at translating? Now, those are mostly rhetorical questions. I'd love to hear your responses to them. But I think we would all love to do those things. But I have more grounded questions for you today. How can we support each other's efforts to be seen? Those of you on YouTube, you are welcome to turn on your microphone and answer the question. How can we support each other's efforts to be seen? Carol?
I didn't have my hand up, but I was
But you
scratching.
turned your mic on. You turned your mic on.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right. Listen, hold, attend. They're all counseling terms. I mean, that's especially the last one. I think we jump in and here I am and I've got to talk and I got to keep up and da 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 da. And I think fundamentally to just keep our mouth shut and eye-to-eye contact and holding. That's how I see it.
Thank you. Anybody
Probably
else?
probably a great word is curiosity.
Yes. We had a whole month on curiosity, didn't we? Yep.
And for me, it is showing up and be willing to listen, to see that person and to listen to them. And if I'm struggling with a translation, then ask for clarity, ask more questions so that you can give them permission to go deeper so that I can get understanding and I can get clarity as to whatever they are communicating, right? And just be willing to do that, be willing to be in that space to listen, to give someone permission and being vulnerable enough to, if I'm not too sure if I'm translating then properly, then ask for that clarification and say, can you tell me more? Or what exactly do you mean?
And that's easy to do when the other person is calm. But when whatever the other person is doing is because they've been triggered, or while I'm listening, I get triggered, that nice complex nature nurture thing. When I start taking things personally, or I see that they're taking things personally.
I experienced that with my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I have to learn to be present and listen and figure out what they're so upset about.
Ruth?
We have a live chat from YouTube
Oh, lovely.
from Corey. She says, shift our consciousness to a state of wonder that when communicating, no judgment.
When I'm triggered, it's hard for me to step back and say, I wonder what's going on with me. And I wonder what they really meant. Doug?
Everything that we've been saying about this in this response to this question is really right on, wonderful. What also comes up for me is I started with to be a safe place for the other person, to communicate that somehow in some way. And then when you said, but what happens when we get triggered, made me think I also have to remember to be in a safe place in myself. So perhaps start from there and reach out.
That's lovely. So the next question is, what would support you in being seen? knowing that to be seen is to be vulnerable. And I think you've answered that question, Doug. What would help me is to be in a safe place, to where it's okay to let my maladapted behaviors be seen and hopefully gently nudged into, is that what you really want to do? Is that how you really want to be? Is that what you really believe? I have a practitioner that every time something comes out of my mouth, I can see her eyes go big, and it's like, are you listening to what you're saying, Patricia? But I have to be that. If I want that for myself, I have to be that for other people when they're triggered. And that's difficult.
Mhm. There's great risk involved, for sure. And that takes a lot of courage to risk oneself, either being vulnerable in of how I feel, or being open to hear how somebody else really feels. And then to be able to bring the two together and say, how can we find a way of moving together through this, or respect the other person's position without, and still respect ours. It's quite the dance.
This seems to be a place where clear communication would be really helpful. And that translating thing, to be able to be as clear as I can about who I am. It's that authentic. This is who I am. And to stay out of feeling pressured to be something other than who I am.
What was your original question?
How can we support each other's efforts to be seen?
Makes me think of, instead of waiting until trying to deal with those feelings in the moment, is to do pre-work, or to self-work outside of those moments and challenging times. Practice in the easy times. So when you're in the harder times, you're not quite so off balance.
Isn't that what Reverend Sharon tells us all the time about spiritual practice? You do a daily spiritual practice so that when you need it, you are practiced. You know, that it's not like the first time I'm trying to use my tools. Sue, you keep looking like you want to say something. Oh, okay. Carol?
I like the idea of the prep work. For me, and momentarily taking the focus off communicating, is going back behind this part. And lately I've been working on parts, let's say, of myself. And I got this image of, because I know I have a habit of, as an introvert probably, walking into a room and with people, and unless I know them well, and being quiet and having the image is these little kid with really big eyes and looking around and making sure I'm safe, which of course is very pejorative, but waiting for other people to talk and then deciding what it's okay for me to say. And I think a lot of the prep work needs to be in practicing spirituality and loving myself first, or loving myself, I don't know if it's first or not, loving myself, being okay. That's where the work for me needs to be, being okay with myself. And then it's a heck of a lot easier to be vulnerable and to invite some conflict or tension or even fun. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's why we keep talking about authenticity. If I'm free to be me, if I'm comfortable being me, I'm much more likely to be comfortable with however you show up. Sue?
One thing that I am working on that I kind of struggle with is when I'm talking to someone and I vehemently don't agree with some particular issue, I find myself, instead of really listening, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to say to rebut that? And how can I maybe change their mind? I'm busy in my own head and I don't get all the listening done that I should. And I'm trying.
Hey, you're not alone, sister. I've been known to marshal a lot of arguments, and heaven knows I like to argue. By George, you're going to hear me. You don't have to agree, but by George, you're going to hear me. One of my maladaptive behaviors. Don't trust you to hear me. Okay. And I think that's, Sue, what you're saying is that you want to trust yourself to listen. Yeah.
I would say being vulnerable in the moment, that I have grown up being on guard almost my entire life for a lot of reasons. And that's a common place for me to live and to find myself when I am in a tense situation, is I go on autopilot and I'm on guard, and I oftentimes don't even know it's happening. That's a tough one to break through. That's, I guess, the only way to break through that in the moment, in my mind, is to practice outside of those moments. Yeah, this is a lot of work. That's a spiritual being in a human body is no easy task.
No.
I have another comment from YouTube. Reverend Debbie says, okay, based on what Sue said, two kinds of things going on. Someone is trying to convince me of their point of view versus someone is authentically sharing with me.
Oh, doesn't that make a difference? Instead of me trying to convince you, if I can be in a place of just sharing my perspective on things. Oof, I'm still working on that one for sure. Linda. Oh, you too?
To be in a tense moment and to actually look the other person in the eye and say, even to go so far as to say, okay, I'm feeling a little threatened or overwhelmed and I really want to hear you. What can I do to be a better listener without, I don't want to bare my throat, so to speak. When I perceive there might be somebody with a knife, but I definitely want to and need to work on, because again, like I mentioned earlier, I come from that guarded place so often. It's like to consciously speak into the room. How can I be a better listener and hear you and not give up my own beliefs, but to share them, not hit you over the head with my beliefs, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
And Brooks just put on YouTube, I think I'm most comfortable with talkative friends, so I don't have to share. Amen.
Oh, why we have introverts and extroverts. We need our extroverted friends so we can just hang out and enjoy the conversation. Okay, I'm going to draw this to a close. Thank you all very much for your input. It really does seem to me that we know exactly what we want and need to do. It's just the practice of doing it in the moment. Yeah. There's a quote that was given as part of the notes this week. And this is how things are normally said. It's from Julianne Connor, and it says, "When you let me see you, you give me permission to be seen." True enough. But what I'd like to do is shift that into first person. That's one of the things we teach in classes that using second person you puts a distance out there between me and what's going on. So I want to take that into first person. The original quote, "When you let me see you," puts the onus on you showing up. Okay. In first person, it's when I let you see me, I give you permission to be seen. But I have to let myself be seen first. That's what gives you permission. So I'm going to work on that this week. When I let you see me, if I can stay in that place of being seen, knowing that I'm creating this workspace where vulnerability is okay. And I'm going to wait and see how you show up rather than expecting you to show up in a particular way. I will expect difference, something new, something I can learn, something I can appreciate, I can enjoy, because whatever you bring into my life is going to be a blessing for me, however it shows up. So that's my work for this week. So let us move into treatment. You will join with me. Right here and right now. I am fully immersed. I am saturated in the intelligence that created the universe, that put all the planets in their place, all the stars, all the galaxies, and the ecosphere of our planet, and the wonderful balance and harmony of the human body. All systems working in accord with each other. This is the order and the harmony that pre-exists. I can depend upon it. And from that foundation, I move into the world of my experience, knowing that balance and order and harmony are the watchwords. They are the eternal verities. And so I relax and I enjoy the life that I am living to its fullest. I am open to the flow of good health. I am open to the flow of abundance. I am open to the flow of loving relationships. I'm open to the flow of creativity, of newness, seeing things from a new perspective, and expressing those, translating those experiences so that others can have their own wonderful experience of creativity. This is the life I lead. This is the life that lives through me. And for this, I give great thanks. And so it is. Please enjoy the closing song or the next song, and think of it as God talking to you. See you through my eyes.
Now, do you feel the gift that we have been given? That message that says, let's see ourselves, let's be ourselves, so that we could give permission for others to be exactly who they are. And so through this gift, this is our time of offering, where we can share our gifts of abundance. And there are multiple ways that we can share our gift of abundance. We can share it through our time, talent, and treasure. And as we share our treasure, we can send it by check on the address shown on the screen, or that we can find on our beautiful website. We can go on our website and we can share our treasure through PayPal, or we can use credit cards. But when we share it with a gift from a space of gratitude. Gratitude for the support and the love and all that is provided by the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, that gives us permission to show up and be exactly who we are. It is that place where we can feel safe to be, as we give all others who enter that space the safe place to be. And so we appreciate all of your support. And remember that you're also gifting yourself, because it is tax deductible. So it's like we're giving back to ourselves in so many different ways. I just love it. So as you stay muted, let us say together our abundance affirmation. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever-expanding infinite good. And so it is. And now for their latest news, the announcements. So there is going to be a town hall meeting starting in May. And it's going to be the first and third Fridays at 6 p.m. on Zoom. This gives us an opportunity to connect, to build community, and to discuss the latest news, to share updates. It gives us a chance to engage with each other in our community. And again, giving ourselves permission and each other to be seen. And now for this quarter, we're being called to support Cafe, who is serving the underserved. And Cafe stands for Clothing and Food for Everyone. Now, this organization has been doing this for 20 years. They show up every Sunday, rain, if there's snow, does not matter, sun, and they provide food, clothing, hygiene, and all those other items every Sunday in Chavez Park. It is quite incredible. They cook the food, they present it, and they give a place for those that are unhoused, that are quite often ignored and unseen, a place to be seen, a place to connect, and a place for some of their needs to be met. And in that, we're going to be gathering July 15th at Rush Park. The address is there on the screen, and we can always find it on our website. So we can bring our chairs, our snacks, and bring the donation of food, clothes, hygiene, gear, and even money. And so we get a chance to connect with each other. And in that, we can actually gather and connect and support to those in our community that really deserve to be seen in their perfection. Now, we meet at 10:30 every Sunday, and it's in person and on YouTube Live on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th Sundays of every month, and on Zoom on the 2nd and the 4th Sunday of every month. Now, we have a great resource that is on our website, which is saccsl.org, where you can go online and submit a prayer request. And that prayer request is given to us practitioners and the ministers, where it is prayed on and held in love for an entire week. It's a powerful resource to use. So please go to SAC CSL and check it out. Now, speaking of that wonderful website, saccsl.org, it is a place where you can go and connect to everything. You can find all the things that are going on, the events, what we are being called forth to support through the outreach every quarter. You can go and listen to past messages, past Sunday celebrations. It is just this beautiful place that is constantly being updated and changed. And we would like to give our many thanks from our YouTube Live audience. And so we can always go, if we miss a Sunday, we can go and listen, for the recordings will be posted there. We can also find that again on our website. There is a direct link to that. And it also gives us a chance when we can't be in person, that we can go to YouTube Live and listen and be present that way. Oh, so our gift for the week is I allow myself to see and be seen. Yes. And so following the benediction, please stay tuned for our closing song, followed by our gathering on Zoom, that it will not be recorded. So as we breathe in and out through our hearts, and it is through our heart that we are seen, that we see ourselves. And through that, we allow all others to be seen and to be heard. It is through that spark, that flame, that light within our hearts that we connect to others, to that spark, the divinity that is in all creation. And I am so thankful so thankful for this message and the music today that just brought it all home, and just this perfect message of love flowing in, through, and as us, as divine spirit, as love covers me and you. So take this love that expresses in, through, and as you, as that individualized expression of you and me. And let's take that with us throughout the rest of the day and throughout the week as you and I connect to all things around us, for whatever comes into our awareness throughout our week, throughout our days. And with that, I give that deep heartfelt gratitude for all that is, and I anchor by saying, and so it is.
There is always a light when we are ready to see it. There is always a light when we are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night, to climb this hill, together we will. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to see it. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to see it. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Till we together we will. There is always light. There is always dark. There is always light. There is always dark. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a climb this hill. Together we will. There is always shine. There is always shine. There is always shine. There is always shine. Be the light.